The European monarchies started to coalesce at the end of the Middle Ages. Marriage was one of the most successful ways of annexing territories. As a result, most royal marriages until the end of the 18th century were not made of love, but out of interest. Yet the Romantic movement of that same century changed all of that. Starting in the 19th century, royal marriages for love became increasingly common. Considering this, we have shortlisted 5 love marriages that ended in tragedy. We start this roundup with Queen Victoria's marriage to Prince Albert. In 1837, at just 18 years of age, Victoria ascended the British throne, and the man who would become her partner remained a mystery. Her family and the government wanted her to marry her cousin, Prince Ernst, but she fell in love with Ernst's younger brother, Albert. The first break from the norm came when she proposed to her husband on October 15, 1839, because she was the queen, and the opposite could not happen. The union was cemented, and the love story went on to inspire the most romantic and passionate people who wished to build their lives on love. The couple bonded very well. Albert's only complaint was that he was not involved in political life as much, whereas Queen Victoria worried about becoming pregnant, which is entirely understandable given that they had 9 children. This marriage was tragically marred by Prince Albert's abrupt death in 1861, aged just 42. His death is still much debated, but was attributed at the time to typhoid fever. Up until 1901, when the Queen's body was laid to rest with the princes in the Frogmore Mausoleum, Victoria mourned the memory of her husband for more than 40 years. The second royal love marriage ending in catastrophe was that of Empress Sisi and the Austrian Emperor Franz Joseph I. He took the throne at a noticeably early age, when he was just 18. Austria was going through political turmoil and succession problems at the time, and a royal marriage was required to smooth things over. Francis's mother, Sophie of Bavaria, intended for him to marry Sisi's 18-year-old sister, Helena. However, during the latter's formal introduction, the emperor fell in love with the then 15-year-old Sisi and immediately declared that he would marry the youngest of the cousins. A dream had begun, but it all ended in tragedy. The shy Bavarian princess struggled to settle into Austrian imperial life. Sisi loathed her duties as Queen of Hungary and Empress of Austria as much as her family ones. Adding insult to injury, Sisi's mother-in-law was a constant meddler in the couple's life and in their children's upbringing, leading to further family friction. Following a promising start, the marriage eroded. Then, on September 10, 1898, Sisi was assassinated. The crime took place in Geneva, Switzerland, perpetrated by the Italian anarchist Luigi Lucchini. The Empress was traveling incognito and was not the assassin's target. He had wanted to kill Prince d'Orléans, heir to the French throne. But when Lucchini found out that he had already died, he went out, ready to kill anyone else who happened to be in the city. The 61-year-old Sisi was stabbed in the heart with a thin, needle-shaped knife. The third love marriage with a tragic ending involved Prince Rudolf, the son of Sisi, and Emperor Franz Joseph. Rudolf was not the Prince Charming he appeared to be. As the only son of Franz Joseph and Sisi, he inherited much of his mother's brooding spirit and little of his father's firmness. Throw in an unhappy marriage and a sense of isolation and hopelessness, and the tragic prince bore all the traits of a man who outwardly seemed to have everything, but had nothing in his own mind. He eventually married out of duty in 1881 to Princess Stephanie, daughter of King Leopold II of Belgium, with his father choosing the bride. The couple had no married life to speak of 2 years later. Then, Rudolf met the 16-year-old Baroness Mary Vetsera, the daughter of a Hungarian nobleman. The affair began as a fling in 1888 and developed into an all-consuming passion. Rudolf fell madly in love and soon planned to divorce his embittered wife to wed Mary. The crown prince paid no mind to any objections his father would have if he found out. His only concern was his beloved Mary, and the fact that he could simply not live without her. Rudolf even consulted the Pope about getting a divorce, but was barred from doing so by his father. He then decided to leave Vienna for Mayerling, under the pretext of going on a winter hunt in the nearby forest. Mary was with him. On the afternoon of January the 29th, they both went for a long walk and this is where Rudolf apparently proposed a suicide pact to her. Mary agreed. Before dawn, while she was asleep, Rudolf drew a revolver from her bedroom drawer and shot her at point-blank range just behind her left ear. She died instantly. A servant heard the shot, but the second was fired before he could reach the bedroom. Another love story had ended in tragedy. The fourth royal wedding resulting in disaster was that of Franz Ferdinand and Sophie Chotek. Following Rudolf's tragic death, the Austrian throne switched hands and ended up going to Archduke Charles Louis, Franz Josef's brother, but he abdicated to his son, Franz Ferdinand. He was single at the time, but later fell in love with Czech noblewoman Sophie Chotek. Despite being a Czech aristocrat and her family tree extending back to the 13th century, the Crown Prince was supposed to be married to the daughter of a king or prince, but never to a countess. Since Franz Ferdinand had a strong personality, he kept his decision to wed Sophie. The imperial court reacted quickly, with the emperor throwing down threats that, if he went through with the marriage, the couple's children would be barred from succeeding to the throne. To everybody's surprise, Franz Ferdinand accepted this demand. The astonished emperor offered him a year to rethink the matter, but he remained adamant. The wedding was celebrated in 1900, but the only imperial family members in attendance were Franz Ferdinand's stepmother and his daughters. Following many years of plotting and obstacles, Franz Ferdinand and Sophie lived happily together with their 3 children. While the emperor softened a bit and gave Sophie Chotek the title of Duchess, she continued to yield to other family members. The imperial court blatantly ignored her. She was never allowed to sit next to her husband in public or go with him on his trips abroad. Ironically, the first official trip they were able to go on together was the fate-making visit to Sarajevo in 1914, cut short by the June 28 assassination, in which they were both killed by Gavrilo Princip, triggering the First World War. Finally, we must look at the marriage of Tsar Nicholas and Alexandra Feodorovna. Nicholas was born in 1868 and Alexandra in 1872. Following his father, Tsar Alexander III's funeral in 1894, Nicholas married Alice of Hesse, who changed her name to Alexandra Feodorovna upon converting to the Russian Orthodox Church. The wedding took place on November 26, 1894. It was a Victorian ceremony, quiet and proper on the outside, but built on intense and fervent physical lovemaking. Different from many other royal weddings, their marriage was the result of their will, as they were both in love. Faced with opposition from their parents, Queen Victoria, and from Russia itself, the couple enjoyed a blissful married life. Despite the couple's fertility, the Empress endured a real drama. She gave 4 daughters to Nicholas and Russia, but struggled to get a male heir. When she did, the family still suffered, as the boy had a serious illness known as hemophilia. The couple's ultimate plight came from the Russian Revolution, when the Romanov family was murdered on July 17, 1918. That morning, Tsar Nicholas II, his wife, and all their heirs were shot in a terrifying and history-making manner.